Hey, what's good, everybody? Hope everyone's doing well today. And I'm just going to go ahead and jump right on into this. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible because there's going to be a series of videos in relation to the topic of relationships. Everybody's going through a lot of changes, a lot of transitions, getting into new relationships, getting out of old ones. And, we really want to be careful about how we approach things pertaining to what is going to be invested in a relationship and within ourselves, both, personally and also with regards to the other individual as well, their needs and wants. So we're going to go ahead and look over everything in full detail. And so yeah, this is going to take a few videos for people to really, kind of get an idea of what is required to help a relationship become strong and withstand a lot of challenges, because part of a relationship is sharing challenges with people. That's one of the basic things that I pick up intuitively, because we're on the same growing path, and there are certain differences that we're growing in. We're learning about ourselves through another individual. So they're kind of holding a mirror to us, for us to see things within ourselves that we may need to be working on changing or accepting or building on more. So this is all to better help you. And it's also something that a lot of people need to really look at when, entering relationships. Their reasons for doing so, because a lot of people, they have, different types of reasons for setting a specific ground for why they want to be in a relationship, or how they want to go about it, what they expect out of their partner. There's a lot of things like, as some people would say, a demand. They demand to having this type of partner, that type of partner, because, well, they have an issue probably going on somewhere. And you got to really look at that, how a person's values, what they see in a relationship, how they look at a relationship, as well as the person they're with. Those values, sometimes they stem from a lot of deep, dark hurts and pain, as well as, baggage from other relationships that you bring into a new one. So it's like a lot of the toxicity there comes into a new one, and you're not communicating that, where all this is coming from. Then that is grounds for creating a lot of miscommunication, upsets, things that a person is trying to understand within you, or you're trying to understand within another person, because it comes both ways. So you want to make sure that whatever you're bringing into a relationship is something positive. Okay, excuse my nails. I was working some time ago, and it's really hard to get kills off of my hands. So yeah, anyway. So relationships, our expectations. Sometimes people enter a relationship with pride. Pride is a part of our ego. I want this. I need. There's a reason for that. And a lot of times that reason is to control something. So by communicating what we expect, a lot of times we are trying to control how we see ourselves, how we want things to go in our life. We want to control, outcomes. We want to be successful. We want to be happy. We want to be prosperous. We want to be peaceful. We want to be all these things. We actually need those things in our lives in order to better function, on a higher vibrational frequency. So we tend to, go lean towards our self-interest. So our self-interests are the qualities we find in other people. So people enter relationships looking at the stability. Does this person make a good income? Are they able to, pull through whenever, say you decide down the line you want to have children? Are they going to be able to help pay car notes, help pay for mortgage, pay for, bills, everything? Are they going to pull through? Are they going to pull their weight with things that you guys share within this relationship, home, finances, other type of material things that you guys work very hard for. So that's one thing they want to know, if you're able to be stable on your own or with another person. Also, people look at love interests, like the unconditional type of love. They want to be able to be accepted in all their flaws or things that they do, their habits or quirks. And some people, they don't want to be changed. They just want to be accepted as they are within a relationship. So they look to see if how you love. How do you love? So I'm just writing this down because this is also a question for yourself. How do you love when it comes to unconditional? What is unconditional for you? Open communication. Okay. People want to be able to relate any type of information, because regardless if the other person feels it's important or not, or unnecessary, it is important to them. It's important to the person wanting to share this information for a lot of reasons. Maybe even to kind of like confirm something, or validate something, to add more of like more of like a truth, truth to what's going on, in the relationship. How you guys are developing it, like, what's true in love that you're giving to each other, and communicating that. It's always good seeing that, the how you guys both communicate your love language to each other. But at the same time, you also have to be able to communicate other things as well that may not really resonate with love, but may be just like a little defect or a little obstacle or tiny flaw that probably can be fixed, or worked on personally, or both together. So yeah, people look at that, having open communication and being able to overlook all kinds of different things within the relationship, and see what can where things can be built on, and things that probably don't serve both of you anymore. So then you can kind of throw that out the window, like, this don't work for us because this is probably something brought over from a negative relationship we were in the past. So we got to do out with that and try something else, a different approach for this new relationship to really blossom into something more positive and more comfortable, more fulfilling, and to a point to where you feel you are being your highest self, your best self within a relationship. Okay. So also loyalty. A lot of people, they don't like the distrust that comes with cheating, or even work. People, they dedicate too much time to work. That, in a way, that's kind of like not really investing into something that they start, as it comes to a relationship and its responsibilities. Like loyalty in terms of like the friendship that is also a part of a relationship, because you want to be able to trust your partner to accept you with accept your truth without criticizing and judging you, and then just walking away when something gets hard. So a lot of people look at the loyalty, and how much effort they're willing to invest with that loyalty. So effort pertaining to, like I said, the financial stability, sharing responsibilities together. So the responsibilities can come, in any form, like through home, children, the emotional connection between each other, whether you guys are, relating the way how you feel about each other, your senses, all your senses, your intuition, everything, and what you observe throughout this relationship, and what you pick up on, and if it's truth or if it's something that is a false perception they're building in their mind. So like the emotions and senses, the effort you put towards communicating those types of things, they really truly help you see little things in the relationship and within yourself. Also effort, effort in investing in upkeep of romance, making sure the spark stays there. Because love, I'll tell you this, love is a gift. Okay? Love is a gift. And love, okay, I'm just gonna cut like a little piece of information here for you guys. There's a experiments done on rice. Okay, this is an example. There I think there was 3 jars. Yeah, 3 jars. 1 jar of rice had water in it. Well, all of them had water in it, but 1 jar of rice, it was they were speaking certain types of negative words to it in the rice, over a certain amount of time, as well as like the middle rice, they totally ignored. They didn't speak any types of words towards it. The other rice is more of like the positive words that they were speaking into the jar. And they kept doing this throughout consecutive days, and then they're noticing how the jar with the negative rice, the water in it, it made the rice turn black and it was rotted, so it's like the emotions, the intent, the negative energy placed on that rice, that jar of rice. It shows, visually how negative energy can affect something. So whatever you're speaking to your partner, communicating to them with, your intent and with your words, they can cause damage to the internal parts of an individual. So just imagine that, so with the negative rice versus the positive affirmations of the, the positive experiment on the jar of the one where they were saying a lot of loving words, kind intentions, that jar of rice, it was white, it stayed clean, it stayed fresh, it didn't rot as quick as the other one. And the other rice in the middle, where there was no communication at all, that rice in the center, that it just became murky. The water in it became very murky, unclear, and nothing good or bad came of it. It just kind of sat there, and over time it started getting like a little bit brown, starting to rot, go into a rotting stage. But this is how it is with love. This is what I'm trying to give you, an idea that love is a gift. And love, when you give something to somebody, especially something so intricate and so beautiful, you want to make sure you give it to somebody who is going to be able to take care of it. Because love, you have to keep nurturing it. You have to keep nurturing it so it can grow, so it can stabilize. You have to be able to recalibrate yourself, within your own life, your own needs and wants when it pertains to self-love, as well as the relationship that you're in and the person that is there. So there's like 3 people in a relationship. If you kind of look at it, it's the relationship itself, what needs to be worked on, and the other person, as well as yourself. So yeah, it's like three main responsibilities. And so that's one of the things, the upkeep of romance and love, taking accountability for your mistakes and misunderstandings, and like the disputes, and being able to kind of look at your partner and see if they're a forgiving type of person, or if they are an individual who withholds love, or does not want to try to come to some type of agreement, or they don't take accountability or say they're sorry. Those are some very important things to look at in a relationship, because throughout every relationship, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be influences outside of the relationship that sometimes play a part. Whether it's you having a bad day at work and you're bringing that energy home to your, significant other, and you're not communicating that, and you're just being shitty towards them. And, so it's like you need to kind of communicate that to let them know, I'm having a bad day. I just kind of want to be alone for a little bit. Or I need a little bit more attention, and love and, good feelings, because, I'm not feeling good today. So, that's one of the things, that kind of helps with the, trying to see if your person is able and capable of communicating what they need and want, when they're kind of at odds with themselves and with others, or even with you in the relationship. So it's, and we have to be understanding of that and forgiving and apologetic with, things we probably don't mean to do or say when a person is feeling that way, because, we're not always well informed. So it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were going through this. So it's just knowing if your partner is capable of doing that, because that's one of the things that are very vital in any relationship. Okay, that's the thing that people need to really learn how to do in life. Learn how to put their ego away, to just be open. Because like I was saying, the ego is all of wanting control over things. You don't want to be put in a wrong position, or you don't want your partner to look at you in a negative way, or so it's just learning to put that ego aside. So usually we have a self-interest to want to make sure that our partner has a mature level of being able to take a responsibility and share that responsibility, and owning up and saying sorry, or forgiveness in misunderstandings. So other things people kind of look at is like the sex, if it's good, if it's not, if you guys make love, because sex and making love are kind of two different types of ways of expressing your emotions, your passion. So it's kind of like, if it's just sex, where don't feel like there's emotion within it, and not, because everybody kind of sees, sex and making love differently. And we want to be able to have that connection, like a real spiritual soul connection sometimes when, we're in relationships. It can't just be all about just fun having sex, and then, then it's done, and then you just go on with life. After a while, that thing kind of just burns a person out, and they don't really appreciate it enough, taking time to appreciate the body, each other's bodies, what each other, had gone through within that human shell, the pains, the struggles, the things they're trying to work on, appreciating that person in the raw form, the human form, and making sure you're taking care of that within each other, not just just coming in and just doing something and it's done, and you don't have the time to connect, to hold each other, to just be more attentive, kind and giving, after having sex or making love. There's still a connection there, because a lot of times it's more than this. It's more than sex. People are looking for more of a spiritual connection too as well. And sex really is supposed to be something spiritual, but over time people had kind of just took off the importance of it. That's why, they say it's important to know who you're with before you kind of take that step, because Energy is contagious. If you're with a person who was with multiple partners, it's an exchange of emotion, it's exchange of DNA, and whatever they had within their body, they're putting it within yours. And so this is why sometimes some people who are very intuitive and empathic, they can pick up if a person that they're sleeping with is a toxic individual, or if they have too much toxicity around them. And this can cause a disturbance in their perception and how they feel sometimes. So it's like, this is why some people, they can really feel their partner's emotions. They can really feel their partner's feelings and, troubles. It's just like you exchange that energy. You exchange that DNA. And if you don't know what kind of people your partner was engaging with, and even if they don't know either, sometimes that negativity can kind of tarnish your spiritual senses, because you're picking up energy of people they're around that really aren't good. So it can kind of make you kind of feel off. So it's just just feeling off tempo, with your own feelings and your grounding as an individual. Because a relationship is about two individuals coming together, in a whole union. And a lot of times people enter these relationships when they're not fully whole in themselves yet. There's things that they need to work on. You can enter these relationships being a whole person, loving yourself, and not relying fully on the person to make your happiness, but creating that happiness for yourself, within yourself and your confidence. But true, there are some people that are here to help us learn that. That's a part of relationships too. No two people come into it, fully perfect. Because there's certain little things, there's reasons why some people come into relationships, so they could learn to perfect that thing within themselves in order to unlock these abilities to become whole. So sometimes we're with people who make us feel our highest self, so that way we can do the work on ourselves. We feel more comfortable doing the work on ourselves. We have a supporter there to kind of show us key points, if we're open to listening to them. So yeah, that's one of the things too, like and that also goes in terms of their intelligence to be able to do that with you. Because everybody has learned to work on themselves through their experience. So are they able to share that intelligence with you to learn, and are you willing to accept that? Empathy. You want to be with somebody who pretty much empathizes with how you feel. Like I was saying, even within our experiences, we're able to relate to another person. If somebody done us wrong in another relationship, and we kind of see how the other person may feel insecure about us doing the same thing to them, we can kind of relate. So just the empathy, as well as like in like when we make mistakes or misunderstand in a relationship, we have to use empathy to try to come to this ground of apologizing and forgiving each other, because you're both growing people, you're both growing human beings, trying to become your greater self, not for another person, but for you want to be a person who's right, for another, a person who's healthy in loving another, a person who knows himself, that they can overcome any type of obstacles within a relationship or outside of it, and bring a lot of quality to the relationship. Some people, they look at the physicality, the body, what they prefer. A lot of right now, I know it's kind of hard because a lot of people, there's a lot of insecurities around that. Even jealousy, some jealousy comes out with that. See, like, for instance, there's images out there within social media, models and people in the entertainment industry, and a lot of the values there, they stem from, having the best appearance in order to be desirable, because these individuals, they're desired by masses of people, all walks of life. So when us individuals, everyday life, who do not partake in that type of lifestyle, but we see it, we kind of tend to feel like there's this idea, the ideal way of how a man wants a woman to be. And it goes vice versa, how women want a man to look. Do we want him with, all these big muscles? Do we want him to, be really, fit and physical, everything like Superman, and the man wants a woman these days with a big ass and big tits and little short, skinny frame. It's all, I guess, more of the individual though, like, because not a lot of guys, they want that, because for some men, they've been in relationships where they did go looking for that, but they end up finding like even the most beautiful woman in the world can be shallow bitch, so it's like that changes their perspective. Like, I think, what I was looking at was a little bit more shallow than, what I should have been looking for, like the quality, the inner quality. Because the outside, you can look pretty, but on the inside, you can be a very ugly, nasty, mean human being. There are people that are like that. And I've seen that. I've seen people go through hurts and pain with that. So, and sometimes some guys, they have this, image of wanting the full package. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all preference. But, when it comes to expressing things that you desire or lust after, and you're with somebody who may not be the full idea of what you wanted, but there are things like but this makes up tremendously for say your significant other had a physical disability, like maybe they're in a car wreck and they lost parts of their maybe their digits, or something, or they have to walk with a limp, and their body may be deformed or not the same, but they do have like a good heart, a good spirit, a good mentality that's healthy. They may have, they may be beautiful in other ways, even through appearance wise, that attracts you to them. So, but like, even those people who go through like disabilities like that, sometimes they feel out of place because they're not functioning the way how they used to, and they're trying to get used to it. They don't have the proper body proportions that are ideal for an individual, you see, that would be healthy, considered healthy. So that is something that you kind of got to look at too, like the preferences and body. Sometimes people feel better being with individuals who have flaws because they have insecurities themselves, flaws in their body, because it kind of makes you feel a little bit less than when you can't meet a person's standards of beauty, their ideal standards of beauty. So, but yeah, everybody's got body preferences. Even myself, like, because like, for example, I was raped, and the person who did that to me, he was really tall, really muscular, very skinny. And so like, I don't really feel comfortable being with a man who's skinny. I like a man that has weight on him, because I don't like the feeling, I don't like that feeling of being reminded, so that's a part of like the trauma. We'll get into traumas, later on as it pertains to some of these things. Also, we look at the interests of values, what a person's values are, their morals, what's important to them, how they see having children, how to raise them, how you've raised yourself, what kind of values that you place on yourself and hope to find in the other person. Also religion, spirituality, that's the same thing, religion, because religion, all it means is to reconnect. So how do you connect to your higher self, universe, or God? People, they take a consideration in that, like, what kind of religious background do you have? Me, I'm very traditional. I'm Hopi, so like I have a way how I carry out my life, in a peaceful way, because Hopi means peaceful people. So like for myself, I have certain requirements, of another person, and teachings that I have to give, and how I see and view things, because like the life I create is very, very beautiful, very calm energy, within myself. So the disruption of that, I, as an intuitive as well, like I can kind of see that, if a person is very conflicted when it comes to their belief, their faith, their values, not just, beliefs in God, but how they believe in themselves, that can probably cause a bit of a disturbance within me, because I'd be really concerned about that person, So I want to make sure that, my partner has at least a way of grounding themselves, whether it's through religion or some types of faith, faith grounding, spiritual cleansing, because that's something everybody needs to do, and constantly, whether you're an intuitive or not, just a regular person, a person that like just is not really fully aware of, other things outside of, just what we see every day. Because, as an intuitive, I pick up things that are of a malefic nature, around individuals, things that, follow them around and wreak havoc, try to cause a lot of low vibrational energy. So there's a lot of things that can play into relationships, depending on where we've gone, what we believe, what we do, and so it's important, just paying attention to that. And some people, they're not really involved in really knowing about certain things and what can sometimes contribute to our, misfortunes. So, that's why some people, they always have to do like cleansing on themselves. Like going out, taking walks, recalibrating, going to the mountains to, recharge their focus. Because a lot of things, our body reacts towards the elements of earth, the elements within our environments, as well as elements within people. So, that's the whole chemistry, the chemistry. And so if we have like an off chemical imbalance, then we're going to have to try to like cleanse things out. And usually people come into a off balance when coming out of a very grueling, hard, either abusive or really traumatizing relationship, And the reasons behind that too, like the trauma, is one of the reasons why we try to control a relationship, because for one thing, nobody wants to get hurt. So maybe in a past relationship, they did a lot of really fucked up shit, and nobody wants to get hurt again. So that's one of the reasons why we try to control a relationship by our through our self-interest and expressing that, all these, so that's a part of the control. That way we can control ourselves as well. A lot of people, they want to maintain their peace. They don't want that disturbed, that they worked very hard on. A lot of people are afraid of being cheated on. And even some people too, like they're afraid that they cannot trust themselves. They're afraid that they might be a cheater, or they are, developing certain habits within their environment. Because like at the same time, you're taking two different people from two different environments, putting them together in a relationship. And maybe this person, they come from a background where there's a lot of like certain types of ideals, certain types of ways of looking at relationships. And maybe a lot of people in their environment, they're very promiscuous and they feel that's okay to be that way, and so they get caught up in that type of negative behavior, because those types of behaviors, it's seen negative because an individual who probably wants a real loyal, trusting relationship where the person isn't gonna, go out and mess around, it kind of creates that type of conflict, in the values and beliefs, how we value a relationship, or another person's ability to be loyal, and how we can maintain that loyalty between each other. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why, people are very afraid of getting hurt and being cheated on, or being the cheater, or being seen as a cheater. So this is why they try to control a relationship and what they want from it. Also, people, they don't want to be alone. Nobody wants to try to go through life alone, because we have so much time here. Why have to be alone and doing everything? You shouldn't have to if you don't want to. People have built progress and they don't want to have setbacks. I'll use myself an example. See, like, I came out of alcohol addiction and drug addiction. And so through healing that part of my life, I had to step away from all of that in order to maintain my sobriety and get back into centering myself and who I really am deep down in the core. A lot of the alcoholism, it stems from being around that type of environment, so it's like just feeling that's an okay type of vice, or something just to hold me together, when dealing with problems in life. And but it's not the way. It's kind of like a mask. You just cover it up. It's a very deceptive thing. It's not allowing you to face things. So like, I went through the process of becoming sober, and I realized that I had triggers, through those yearly processes, around, I say yearly because it took years to get back into positive habits, or learning new ones that I even know, this is how you're supposed to look at it, because I was taught a lot of things that were false about myself. And this is why I resorted to drinking, feeling I wasn't worth enough. I wasn't worthy of love and certain things, So it was just like relearning, reprogramming my mind to understand that people, sometimes they place a lot of their emotional baggage on you, or their issues, they take it out on you, and you feel at fault and you didn't even do anything wrong. So it's like, I was in that point where I was resorting to drugs and alcohol to try to ease that pain, or try to, just escape that problem or issue, because I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know. I was just a teenager, so I was just a young girl. And being that I went through all that, the triggers, even when I was getting happy, is like something would trigger like a past emotion from, those times when I was using alcohol, or words or phrases would trigger. By the way, I have PTSD, so it's like, I go back in time, and it's not something I want to do. It just automatically happens because The PTSD also had a head trauma, physical. So that caused a lot of damage to the way how my brain can process things, and that's not my fault. I didn't ask to fall on the ground, bust my head, and wake up with amnesia. I didn't ask for none of that. So it's like knowing that I have things going on with myself, and how much progress I made and relearning new things about myself and better habits. I noticed that I can't be around certain people that constantly indulge in that type of way that I used to be in, because I have to kind of keep focus that there's a saying in sobriety that every day is going to be a day of maintaining that sobriety, because you can go back to doing that, getting addicted just as fast. Could only take one drink, and then you're back to where you started from. So it's like it's kind of looking at why you drink, why, what's the reason for it. So it's like when I drink, I have to be around people who have the mentality of not drinking because they're having a problem. I'd rather, I don't have anything against drinking. I still have maybe one beer once in a while, but it's not like to drink on a problem. It's a whole different way of looking at it now. It's not used as a tool like I had to use it, for my life to deal with pain. So it's not like that anymore. And I don't drink to get drunk, because I really don't need it in my body. I barely, want it, so it's not something I think about. So yeah, you don't want to be with somebody who can, set back your progress. People are afraid of losing financial gains, in a relationship. Whether it's divorce, stuff like that. People don't, want the other person to be greedy and take everything, or are they going to do this if this ever happens? Or, also they don't know the spending habits of their significant other. Are they going to just throw everything away that we've worked so hard for, instead of investing it in something where it can build more? So this is, one of the things. Also, they're afraid of being the only person working and supporting the whole unit. That's hard fucking work to have to, break your back every day working just so you can come home and have to rest and then go back and do it again. And you're not really taking part in the real things in the relationship that bring more quality to your life, like spending time with family and kids and doing things together, because that makes you even want to work more. But when you're working, breaking your back, work, and you feel like you're just a slave to money, making sure this person is well supported, after a while, just kind of feel afraid of getting a relationship, because you don't know if that person is just going to be lazy or just, not want to help you out at times, when maybe you don't have enough money in your pocket. How are you going to, pay this bill and that bill if that person ain't working? Or, so some people are afraid of losing gains. Also, it's too hard to deal with emotions. So that's why people want control in a relationship, because they don't want to go back to living the way how they used to live, and they don't want to have to go through another heartbreak, emotions like heartbreak. Those are hard to deal with. Emotions pertaining to, your confidence. Maybe a person in your previous relationship, they were always very judgmental and critical of you, and trying to change you, make you someone you weren't, meant to be, or trying to use their intellect to put you down and make you see that oh, I'm not as smart, so I need to listen to them. So then you end up having to depend on them. That's the codependency, and so yeah, so like it can affect your confidence. So this is one of the things, people don't want to deal with having to try to work on their confidence all over and build it up. Low confidence, heartbreak, what other emotions? Feeling abandoned. People don't want to be left alone. Yeah, that's the same thing. Don't want to be left alone. So that's why they put this, the loyalty. Sometimes loyalty will be very big, especially if a person had gone through a lot of fucking abandonment, in their relationships. Not just their relationships, but even in their home family life. Because a lot of what we bring into a relationship stems from how we are raised. How we are raised. So we got to look at that, the patterns of our life, our family. A lot of people, they don't want to go through, the emotions of the past to try to figure themselves out. So sometimes they're like, I'd rather be with a person who is always happy all the time. That way I don't have to think about my past. But that can set you up for some mishaps, because you need to look at your past and past pain and hurt and work through that with your partner and by yourself, in combination, in order to get over those fears, those emotions from the past that keep trying to come up and create, blockages in your new relationship, or block you from having a new relationship with a person who is probably different from what you have experienced before. They may be more better for you. They may be the light to your healing. They may be key to a lot of the stuff that you need to bring up and work through with them. They may be more experienced in knowing how to sort those types of things out. So, we have to try to understand that, emotions are, they seem scary. It seems scary, especially when we, feel these, more lower vibration negative things. We want to feel up, in our energy. We don't want to feel down. But, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why we try to control the loyalty and, stuff is to protect our emotions. Also, is, like I said, hard dealing with past issues, the past. So all that all together, these are reasons why we build up these self-interests. We're interested in ourselves being happy. We want to be happy. But with that same token, we have to have a bit of an understanding of the other person's needs and wants as well. Because we also need to practice unselfishness. With our partner, because they had gone through a lot of these things too, whether in relationships or with other people, in their family or whatnot. So we got to understand that we can't be selfish and just always wanting for ourselves all these things in order to control them within the relationship. We need to look at them and what they need as well, and how we can give of ourselves, through our experiences, being empathic with them, because they have things they probably need to heal from too, or, so yeah, that's just what it is. And a lot of times we create all these things, these reasons, is because we feel, maybe we lacked, or there was a lack in the past relationship. And a lot of times we don't want to create lack. We don't want to create lack. I'm going to make a video about, lack later on, more in depth. So, what I was thinking in my head was that a lot of times we, our issues, our real true issues, hide behind our desires of these things. Like I said, like I was kind of explaining about why, we desire to have this type of partner to suit our need, for healing, for this type of growth, for what we plan to, our outlook, affect our outlook. So yeah, our issues, they hide behind these little things, needs and wants. And it's important to look at the issues of what we feel we lack in on an internal level as well as an external level. So externally would be like the material stuff, like having the best home, the best car, and this and that, and however you see your life building. Internally would be like things you lack, like your confidence or your self-worth. Let's just put self-worth, because all those emotions that make you feel good, they also add to your self-worth. And so yeah, how much are we worth? Do we lack certain things? How much do we lack in a material way? How important are those things to us? So I'm going to go ahead and get into this later on at another time. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and just wrap this up. You guys can take all this information and just kind of think about it. Like, what brought you into this relationship you're in now? Or what brought you to feeling that you want a relationship based on a bit more than what you had? Because, that lack, that idea of lack is what creates a need for us to step up our game. I really don't want to call it a game, because for me, love is not a game. It's not a game for me. It's just being real. Step up our I'll call it step up our realizations of things. Step up our truth. Step up our truth. So yeah. So we face all these things with truth, and a lot of times, we don't want to face that truth because some truths are kind of too hard for us. But I'm telling you that if we work on certain things within this, that could create more connectivity and more trust within the relationship, that truth won't be so hard to face anymore. It'll be easy. Once you face it, you deal with it. It's like, okay, I know what this is now. Let's work through it. Let's make it better. And now let's progress. Let's keep moving forward. And this is how in relationships, they're in for the long haul. They're more about both people on both sides coming together and raising the vibration. Raising more healthier habits, being aware of what they do and what they don't do that can affect people